Hey, what's up? My name is Marco. I'm a former pro opera singer turned voice actor. And today we're going to be listening to another champion theme from League of Legends, Volibear, the Relentless Storm. Again, I don't know anything about League. I've never played League. I've never touched League. I probably never will touch League. But the music has been really incredible. So I'm very excited to take a listen to this. I assume Volibear is a giant bear. I'm going to do everything in my power to avoid watching this video. Though you will see the video, I have not watched this. Here we go. Wow, so much like depth and darkness. This isn't Winnie the Pooh. It's such a stupid joke to make. But, you know, there is a real unrelenting force here of nature. And I think if it's a true bear, there is this like, I almost feel like Volibear is like picking up rocks, and there's a very, 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 very dominant and masculine, almost rage. You hear that in the bum, you hear that in the drums. And there's also this dark color to the music, which I think infers some sort of internal darkness or external darkness that the character exists with. There's a lot of suffering and maybe pain and rage. Is this Nordic? Also, hasn't Austin written the music to Journey? Yeah. So first of all, props. I mean, you hear the incredible abilities of a fantastic composer. This sounds totally different from what I know of the music of Austin Wintory. I mean, so unique, right? And I think that this is the astounding thing about composers in the medium of video games, is that I think probably they see an image and then they compose around the image. Kind of in the way that as a voice actor, when I see a character breakdown, I see an image sometimes, and then I sort of have to formulate, while still being myself, I formulate a vision of what the character would sound like or what the character would act like while playing myself. You can only be yourself. And so it's incredible to me that these composers, all video game composers, take an image or a video and somehow spin a web, not only a way to describe a character, but also just like they do world building, they do story arcs, they do all these things kind of in one. And it's astounding because in opera, you know, these composers, it's the same thing, but these composers are looking at a whole overarching story. Whereas oftentimes I feel like video game composers are looking at individual moments of a game. And of course, in a situation like League, you know, yes, there's a team, but also in League, like you're highlighting a character and perhaps basing the music off of a backstory and what you think it would sound like. So I'm assuming. So it's kind of astounding that this sound is so raw and so rich and you get a real sense of power and domination and courage and strength. I mean, you know, there's this real sense of brute force. I assume this is a bear, right? Or like bears. So that really comes across. I mean, listen, you got the drums in the background, ba-ding, ba-ding. Then you've got bum 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 bum, ba ba with the trombones, with the brass there too. I mean, this is all like, these bears are enormous. These bears have might, brute force, relentless destruction, capable of maiming and killing, and you know, there's a real, you really get the sense of this, you know, this animalistic sound. And yeah, and you can hear too, you can get this like sort of like, you know, you just picture this bear with its claws up like this, or like watching a bear gallop. You ever seen some of these videos of like Kodiak bears that are enormous and they're just like, or a grizzly, and you just watch them run and you get this sense of like, just you watch the fur kind of weaving and moving in the distance as it's running towards you, and you see just like those huge fangs, the huge teeth and huge claws, and it's just like, you know, I just imagine just the raw power of this character. I mean, you know what I also love, just in general, about music in general, but also classical music and just language use? We're really leaning on the consonants and the vowels and the mouth shapes. Like these are very unique vowels. These aren't standard I, E, O, U. There's a lot of, which those are the pure vowels, right? Every vowel, A, E, O, U. Every vowel has a different tongue position. Is very open and the tongue is relaxed, and there's a bit of a slight arch right in the back of the tongue. E, the back of the tongue is up against the top two molars. O is very we want it open like this. Oo. Then you've got oo, which is a very hollow space in the mouth. And those are the pure vowels. But in different languages, in French, you've got the schwa, U is E, and you round your lips. These are little tricks on how I've learned how to speak some foreign languages. Sh, same thing in German, sh. So in this language, you've got so many of these different vocal sounds and vowel sounds that actually, as it ebbs and flows and weaves and dances, are so incredibly powerful to the ear and very, to me, give me a very, very strong emotional response. And you also got the melody on top. And then there's a lot of R and and there's a lot of that in this too, which I think all of this adds to this raw, sheer brutality and power of Volibear. And I think this choice of language is very, very smart, because there is such an intense guttural response to hearing this kind of language being sung like this. But also listen to that melody. That is incredible. You know, it's just like rage, you know? And then listen to the second voice. Sorry, I keep stopping. And it's just, these two voices are mixing so beautifully, because you have the one that's using language, and then you've got the other that's using vowel sounds, which it adds to that sort of rawness. It's amazing. But then you also have the strings that are doubling the voice, which again, when we have that doubling, not only is it layered and textured and beautiful, but it also helps the ear to lean into and attach itself to the melody so much more. Yeah, so you really hear this sort of raw brutality, and you hear this sheer strength, and it's an incredibly amazing piece of music. And I'm really curious to hear more of League. This was the second Patreon request I've received about League. You know, it's so cool to experience this music, and I think you know, composition itself is already difficult as it is based on what I know from talking with composers and friends that are composers. But then when you're creating composition for specific scenes or specific characters, that's a singular event, right? Whereas in an opera performance, you're looking at kind of an overarching story. And I wonder, you know, how difficult it is to collect as much information about a character as possible and then somehow produce a work, you know what I mean? Like for a singular thing, a champion theme. Whereas in an opera, again, we're talking about a through arching sort of like we have a direction, we have a crest, it's like a novel. Whereas like a champion theme is like a short story or a poem where it's very hyper focused on one thing. It's just very interesting to me how composers are able to do that. And so I'd like to get a composer on the channel so that we can really ask some of these questions because it's very interesting. As an interpreter, my job has always been to listen to what music sounds like and then elicit and then try to create an emotional arc around it to then give to an audience, you know, and that can go into facial expressions, it can go into physical movement. There are all these things that are kind of pivotal to bringing a composer's thought process behind music to life. Now, in this case, we have animation and video that does it for us. It's a dance between all these different facets and aspects of the creative process. So there are all these different things, and hearing these singular kind of champion themes is really, really fun for me. So as always, if you want to support the channel, feel free to check out the links in the About section. You know, the support is really appreciated, and thank you so much. As always. And yeah, come join the Discord if you like. And thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon, okay? See ya.